Hi, self-lovers. I forgot to turn my phone off. Okay, and it is off. Oh, it is good to be with you guys today. I'm so glad I was able to make it on time to do today's self-love affair training. I really wanted to do today's training, and I managed to get back from London about 15-20 minutes ago. So here I am showing up to be with you again, which I really enjoy. And so today's subject is quite pertinent for me, actually. It's really interesting. I literally just kind of I had this feeling that today would be an important conversation, but I was just making myself a quick cup of tea to bring up to have on the call with you. I don't really know why I make tea for these calls, because I get a couple of sips and then it goes cold. So it's one of my little rituals. It kind of makes me feel cozy and ready to talk to you. But yeah, I was just literally walking into the office just then with my cup of tea, and it just occurred to me the pertinence of today's conversation and how relevant it is for me personally right now. So I want to talk to you today about the art of receiving. It's in the book, and it's in the same chapter as desire. So when we're talking about, and we had this training last week, when we're talking about desire and loving yourself enough to tune in to what it is that you really want for your life, like really loving yourself enough to give yourself permission to take the time out to dream and to like really look at your values. And you did values work the lesson before last, and really look at your values and really look at, you know, who am I and what makes me tick and what do I believe that's not conditioned or attached to parental programming and things like that. And, you know, what do I believe and what do I want, and going for that. And when we get real clarity on our desires, we can move into a process of manifesting them. And next week, I'm going to start talking to you about that. But there's a little step before we dive into manifesting, and that's getting very conscious. So choosing to receive the desire. So it's almost like when you get clear on what your desire is, you're asking for the desire. So that's step one to it coming in. You're asking for it. You're asking, you're sort of acknowledging your soul. You're acknowledging the truth of who you are. You're probably journaling about, you know, the vision, and you're really essentially putting in your order to the universe and saying, this is what I really want. This is what I'm worthy of. This is a true reflection of me. I'm ready to have this. So you're kind of putting it out there. You're asking for it, which is the first step to having it. And you've got to be available energetically to receive it. And this is a really big thing. So this is something that I think is probably missed when we look at, you know, there's the book and the movie, The Secret, and it talks about the laws of attraction. And we will definitely cover that in upcoming lessons. But you can't attract in what you want if you haven't energetically cleared the way for it to come in. So you have, over the last several weeks, been doing a lot of amazing work to clear the way. You've been doing incredible work to clear out any belief systems that could be blocking your desires coming in, clearing out any emotional clutter that could be blocking it coming in. But there really is another step, and it is really getting conscious to and choosing to receive what it is that you desire. And that sounds pretty obvious. It's like, well, of course we want to receive it. I've asked for it, so of course I want to receive it. I've asked for it, so therefore I'm open to receiving it. But not really. If what you desire isn't coming in, then truthfully, on an energetic level, you're not really available to receive. So I want to have a quick chat with you, and I've got a few notes here that I'm going to take a look at to remind me. I want to remind you what energy is going to be blocking you from receiving what you want. And remember, whenever I speak to you, I see you as a whole of 4 parts. So we look at your emotional self, your physical self, your spiritual self, and your intellectual self. We look at all 4 parts. You know that. And there's certain ways that each part of us reflects back to us that we are not in the energy of receiving, that we are actually really not available to receive. And that is then the work that we need to do. And again, remember, self-love is healing anything that's blocking us to receiving what we desire. That's really my definition. Self-love is healing anything blocking us to receiving what we desire. So if on an emotional level you're feeling unappreciated and unworthy, so like no one ever looks after me, I feel like I'm being walked over, that feeling of unappreciation and unworthiness is blocking you to receiving what you desire. So there's some work to be done around that. Mentally, if you're feeling irritated and resentful, like, why am I the only one doing all the work? I have to do everything for myself. I don't have time for myself. If you're feeling like that, irritated and resentful, that energetically is blocking you to receiving what you desire. Physically, if you're drained and exhausted, like I'm pretty tired right now, having had a big day in London and speaking at an event, which I'm going to tell you about because it's pertinent to this. So I'm going to have a really quiet evening. When we're finished here, I'm going to be running a bath and probably chilling in the garden first, and then having a really quiet evening. Because if we're drained and exhausted, what we desire can't come in. We have, this is where self-care really comes into play, loving yourself enough to rest, relax, recuperate. We have to have that regularly, every day, a few times a day. We need it. And if you don't have that, then you're going to be feeling exhausted and not feeling like you have the time or energy to do what needs to be done. And spiritually, if you're feeling depleted and empty, like you don't know who you are, and you don't even know what you desire, and that when you are spiritually depleted, it's really hard to connect to what you desire, because your desires are the truth of your soul. So if you haven't been filling yourself up spiritually, you're going to feel really depleted, and that is another blocking energy to receiving what it is that you desire. So let me just put this into context to give a little bit of an example. And bear with me because I'm thinking on the hoof here, because it really is a realization that's just dropped in for me. So I spoke at an event for a law firm today, and it's Mental Health Awareness Week, so it was part of that. And my desire, right? So my desire around that speaking event was, let me think about it. My desire was to do a great job. My desire was to be of really high service. It was to really support the mental health awareness movement this week, to open the hearts and minds, to help in opening the hearts and minds of the people I was speaking to really support them, to give them some great tools and techniques that could support them. I desired to impress my speaking agent. I desired to have fun. I desired to feel exhilarated. I desired to enjoy the experience. And I had to make sure that emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually, I was available to receive that desired experience. And it's interesting. So those of you that were on the Facebook Live I did on Friday, so you may remember it was a very impromptu Facebook Live. It was incredibly vulnerable and raw and pretty emotional at times. And I was working through stuff, and the reason I wanted to do that Facebook Live with you guys was because I wanted to show up and be really real. Like, we all are working through stuff. We're all figuring life out. We're all trying to make decisions. We all want to be more authentic. If you're in this space, you want to, I know you do, you want to live more consciously, you want to live in self-love, you want to live authentically, you want to live in alignment. And so we are all, like the human experiences, we're figuring it out, we're questioning. And I was very much in that space, and I wanted to share that with you guys. I wanted to share the reality of that, the push-pull of it, the discomfort of it, the excitement of it, the passion of it. I just kind of wanted to show up and be there with you guys. And part of my, one of the pieces that I was wondering around was the speaking event that I had coming up today, and then I've got another one tomorrow. And I was a little bit nervous because, well, I don't know why, I just was. And it's interesting, I guess. I don't know why I was, but I was quite nervous. I really didn't want to let my speaking agent down. I wanted Oh, I know why I was nervous, because the client said that they wanted me to deliver the TEDx talk that I did for Google a few years ago. And I haven't, you know, of course I've done that talk in variation since then, but I haven't done that very particular talk. And that felt quite a pressure for me to repeat that. And so if we look mentally at what could have blocked me mentally to receiving the experience I wanted to have, and I wanted to serve the way I wanted to be of service, the belief system, that sort of that negative self-sabotaging belief that maybe I'm not gonna deliver what they want, I'm not gonna be what they've paid for, I'm not gonna be good enough. That was a really big piece for me. You know, I really felt the pressure, and I had to clear that out, because that right there on a mental level was blocking me to receiving the experience I really wanted to have. And of course, ultimately, it was blocking them from having the experience of me they wanted to have. So I did some work around that. Now I am going to have a sip of tea because I've got a frog in my throat. Thank you. So I had to clear that out. I had to do the work. You know, excuse me, I think I've just breathed in a bit of pollen coming in from outside. I had to do the work. I'm always encouraging you guys to do the work. You know, self-love is self-responsibility. I had to check out the sabotaging negative belief systems that were telling me essentially that I was going to screw up and not be good enough. I was worrying about what other people think. I was going into people-pleasing behavior. And as you know, it's a big part of the work I do, is helping people to cure people-pleasing habits of behavior. So I was dropping into that. So I've had to do the work. I've had to coach myself. I've had to get I have a coach, and I'm in part of a coaching group. So I jumped in there and I was like, this is what I'm struggling with. And I had to rewire and get back on track my belief systems there. I had to remind myself I'm enough, that I'm worthy, that actually I can trust myself to deliver a beautiful talk that's actually going to be even better than the Google TEDx that I did, right? So I got myself into that frame of mind. I really committed to that. Sorry, I haven't turned off my mail and there's mail popping through. Oh, I'm all disorganized today. Another thing that could have blocked me from having the experience I wanted to have at the talk was my energy levels. Like, where was I at physically? And how clean and clear did I feel? So this weekend, my boyfriend, James, and I had a really great chat, and we decided it was time to do a massive declutter of the house. We got really excited about it. We're like, right, fresh start. We are decluttering the house, and we went nuts. We just when we thought we lived a really kind of minimal life, oh my God, we found so much stuff. And we've given loads to charity, and we've put loads on eBay, and it feels really good. I've got a girl coming around tonight to collect old baby stuff that I don't need anymore, you know, like, and it feels so good because I know that I'm going to be able to give all this beautiful baby stuff to a brand new mum, and it's like brand new stuff, and it's just really exciting, and it feels great. It feels good to declutter and clear the energy in my home. And that's a really big part, actually, of calling in your desires. You've got to make sure that energetically your physical space is decluttered, is a clean and clear environment. Say is that's your physical space, but equally your physical body. So this weekend I made sure I had lots of rest. I made sure I had lots of really quality time with James. We chose to go and see a movie on Saturday afternoon, which was so lovely. We went out for dinner and had a really good conversation. Like I said, we did the decluttering, we did some exercise, and I really took care of myself. Last night I made sure I had a really lovely bath, and I journaled, and I just really took it easy. And I was able to wake up this morning feeling high energy, feeling ready to not just deliver the talk, but to receive the experience I wanted to receive. And that wouldn't have happened if I was depleted and exhausted, right? So that was a very conscious decision. Emotionally, I guess, you know, we feel our thinking. So the emotional, the worry and sort of the frustration and a bit of anxiety about the talk needed dealing with. Like I was feeling that, I was feeling my thinking, I was feeling those beliefs of not going to be good and not going to be what they want and all that. So I had to, in changing up my thinking, I was able to experience a different way of feeling. And, you know, last night I was a bit nervous. I picked up my son from school and I was feeling a little bit nervous. And historically, if I had nerves or anxiety, and this is what we all do habitually, and I'm inviting you now, and I'm always inviting you guys to express your emotions rather than push them down. Like last night, I totally could have had a glass of wine and pushed down the sort of worry, anxious thoughts about, is tomorrow going to be okay? Am I going to do okay? And I didn't. I chose to go out in the garden and play football with my son. I was very conscious about it, very conscious. I was cooking dinner and I thought I could have a glass of wine with dinner, that would feel good. But I made the very conscious, self-loving decision that no, if I want to receive what I desire, I have to be clean and clear. So I cooked dinner and then I went out and played football with him and we had a great time. And it was a good bit of exercise for me because he's really quick now. And what else did I do? I journaled. So I made the decision to have a very early night. I went to bed at the same time as my son. I had a beautiful bath. I'm reading a gorgeous book at the minute, which I just love. It's called The Soul of Money. And yeah, it's a little bit about money, but it's more about, well, I'm not going to go into it. Suffice to say, if you want a good, inspirational, amazing, high vibrational read that has you become so much more conscious to the planet and the world that we live in, I recommend The Soul of Money. So it's a very nourishing book. It really fills me up when I read it. So I lit my candles, I got myself a chamomile tea, I had a bath, I read my book, and then I got out and I jumped into bed with the cat. James is away working this week, so of course whenever he's away, the cat joins me. And I journaled. I journaled about how I was feeling. I journaled to have a conversation with my emotional self and to remind myself the truth of who I am, and to create a vision of how I desired to feel instead in that moment and the next day. And it was great because I felt, when I finally turned the light out and went to bed last night, I felt brilliant. I felt really like I'd taken care of myself. I'd really loved myself. I'd prioritized myself. I felt clean and clear. And I felt excited and optimistic for the next day. And that kind of ties in with spiritually, you know, like if you feel depleted and empty, then you're not in a state to receive. So really, for me, all that I've just described on emotional, physical, mental level, that really filled me up. And because I was so consciously taking action in all of those areas, I felt really self-honoring. It was such a self-honoring practice. That level of conscious awareness for the last, you know, since Friday, since the Facebook Live I did, that level of awareness where I really set the intention actually after the Facebook Live on Friday to really be there for me, to really connect with myself even more deeply, to really love myself that much. And so come the talk today, I felt spiritually enlivened. I felt filled up and full. And, you know, when we are filled up and full, then we really can be of service. We've got something to give. And I woke up this morning and I made I set my intention for the day. I actually had breakfast in the sunshine with the sun on my face. I sat with my journal. I journaled my intention for today, how I desired to feel, how I wanted to be of service. I sat, just did a little meditation, put my hand on my heart and the other on my womb. And I called in my spirit guides and my angels. And I very consciously and energetically opened my heart. And I invited my spirit to run the show today. And not my ego and not my intellect, especially for me personally, when I'm speaking, I have to know that it's not coming from here, because then it can get muddled. It can get confused. It can be judged. We can make it right or wrong. we can go into people pleasing because we want to get it just right and perfect. I can't speak from that space. So this morning I had to intentionally connect in with myself and invite my heart to open and my spirit to lead and to be able to speak from that place. And it was pretty miraculous how supported I was today. And it was incredible that I spoke to a group of lawyers, and at the end of it, one of the few people that came to speak to me, one of them was working in law, but in her previous life, she said, before she had her child, she was a spiritual medium. And she actually said, I just got to let you know, I saw your spirit guides with you while you were speaking today. Like, that's amazing. I didn't expect to have somebody of that consciousness in the room. And I didn't say that I had connected with my guides and angels, and she came and volunteered that information. And I thought that was really beautiful. And another woman came up to me and she said, it was so beautiful. And on the Facebook Live on Friday, you might remember we were speaking about this concept of marketing through love, and how that was my ego's challenge at the moment, was to market through love. And she really came up and she told me that she felt that of me in my talk, which was such a beautiful confirmation. Actually, she said she felt me through my eyes, and that was so lovely for me to hear, because really that was the exploration on Friday and the intention I set since, to have the experience I had today and to feel so empowered and so in charge of me and so of service. It was really rather amazing. And she confirmed that. And she said my talk was, she's obviously a very conscious, aware woman. And she said, Katie, your talk was 3 books for me. I feel like you spoke Eat, Pray, Love, which I love because it's one of my favorite books. Eat, Pray, Love. You spoke The Chimp Paradox, and you spoke The Secret. And that's a huge compliment, a huge compliment. And yeah, I had a few people come up and speak to me, and he's saying, someone's saying I'm late, and that's okay. Whoever's late, don't worry. Again, I'm sorry, I can't see who's saying that, because remember, Facebook and Be Live aren't communicating, so it's really annoying. It's still not working. But if you want to leave a comment, I would love that. But you just need to tell me who you are, so I know who I'm speaking to. And thank you for joining. And don't worry, you can get the replay. Yeah, so they're the people that, so sorry, I got distracted. But suffice to say, I loved my speaking experience today. I loved it. I really loved it. And on Friday's live, I was questioning, should I prepare for it? Will I not? Shall I wing it? And the feeling that I might need to prepare for it was because they wanted a specific talk that they'd seen before. So I met myself halfway. I did a little bit of preparation. I made myself feel secure and confident by generally knowing key points I wanted to deliver, which were the key points from the talk that I knew they wanted me to deliver. But having handed over to my spiritual self, having handed over to, to open my heart, and having called in my guides and angels for support, I trusted that I would be shown the delivery of the talk. And it was incredible. It was incredible. And I won't go into all of the detail of that now. I might save that for another conversation. But suffice to say, I was so guided today, and I was able to have the beautiful balance of really speaking from my heart, even able to speak about experiences that I had on the way into London this morning that were so in alignment with the message that needed to be shared, which blew me away. So I was able to speak from my heart. I was able to speak intuitively. I was able to really connect with the audience, and I was able to deliver the talk they wanted me to deliver. So win-win, ladies. It was a beautiful win-win. And that's, yeah, it was pretty cool. So I know some of you asked me to make sure I let you know what I ended up doing in terms of preparing for the talk, and that's what I ended up doing. So how far in are we? Oh, we're doing okay. So let me see. excuse me, I'm just having a quick look at my notes to see. Well, let's just go into, let's just put this back to you now. And let me give you some lines of questioning so that you can explore whether or not you're in a receiving state at the minute. Thank you. Love to hear that. Thank you. Yeah, it went really well. Thank you. Yeah, I feel pretty proud, and I feel super confident for my talk that I have tomorrow as well. So, and I love talking. It's kind of, James said to me, he said, why are you getting nervous about this? You talk all the time, and you had so many positive experiences. And I opened up, that's the other thing, last night when I was playing football with my son, and I think communication is really important, and I like to be really honest with him. So I said, darling, Mummy's feeling a bit nervous about tomorrow. And he went, it's like, why? They booked you. They've asked you to speak. That means they must think that you're going to be good. Like, yeah, thanks, darling. He's so wise little 11-year-old. So anyway, let's take a look at some questions. Yeah, first of all, I want you to ask yourself, how do you feel about the concept of receiving? How does it feel for you to receive? And remember, receiving is a very feminine energy, and it's very different to the habit that a lot of us are in. And I have been and can sometimes be in this state of this energy of doing and taking energy rather than giving and receiving. Like today was a totally beautiful experience of the feminine principle of giving and receiving. Like I knew the experience I wanted to receive today, and I just explained to you how I cleared the path to energetically be available to receive that. And the reciprocal of receiving is giving. And so I gave of myself today. I was of service. I was of very high service. And I was able to be of high service. Remember, and this is such an important piece, I could be of high service because I gave to myself first, because I actually received from myself first. It's a really key piece. You can't be of service if you haven't been able to receive first. So I'd done that. And they were able to receive something great from me because I could give. So it was a beautiful giving, receiving. But a lot of us are in the energy of doing and taking, which is very much a sort of scarcity mindset, lack mentality. There's not enough for all. It's very kind of grabby. Like if I do that, then I've got to get that, and I'll give you that if you give me that, right? Yeah, it's it's a bit of a yucky energy, but I want you to notice if you've got a bit of that going on. I've had it. It's a very humbling experience to actually stop and look at your life and notice where you're in doing and taking energy. It's a little bit yucky. It can be a little bit embarrassing to admit, but if we don't admit it, and if we don't choose, remember we're consciously aware, awake women, if we don't choose to shift that up into a more beautiful exchange of giving and receiving energy, we're not going to have the experience of life we want to have. We're not going to receive the desires we want to receive. There's a comment here. A lot of my ego doesn't let me receive most of the time, and hence it has sabotaged my success, and I'm still not able to receive much. Who wrote that, please? Could you just quickly write your name for me so I know who said that? I know when I see the replay, it will show me who you are, but right now while we're live, I can't see. And that's, yeah, a lot of my ego doesn't let me receive, hence it sabotaged my success. This is it. And that, I'm so glad you wrote that, because that's a really powerful belief system that needs to be shifted. Because while you believe, like I would be interested to know and explore, like, what are the belief systems beneath that are telling you, you can't receive? Is it your worthiness? Is it your value? Are you good enough? Like, what's that about? And I really invite you, get your journal out and explore. What is it? What am I believing about myself that I can't receive? Right? Like, that's step one. I'm so glad you commented and were so honest and vulnerable with that, because that's step one. We have to take a look at, am I even willing to receive? Do I really value myself enough to have what I desire? It's a really big piece, really big piece. So yeah, take a look at where you're in doing taking energy and where you are able to be giving receiving energy and how you could move into that more. Take a look at your belief systems around receiving. Are you going to even allow it? You have to choose it. It's all very well saying what you want, but unless you choose to also receive it, it's not going to come in. It's really key. What other questions do I want you to check out? Yeah, so have a look. Like, how are you blocked to receiving? Emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. If you're exhausted, if you're playing the martyr, if you're feeling angry and niggly, if you're emotionally like kind of wobbly and all over the place, I'm not making you wrong for any of that. However, all of that is inviting you to explore where that's coming from and to do the healing work. And by the way, that's where I come in. This is the role of the coach. This is specifically my expertise. So if you need support in this, you got to reach out to me. Reach out to me and I can help you. Okay? There's been a message earlier. I used to be at the top of my game, but now that I'm not, so I'm not able to receive from anyone and want to do it all by myself. Be too calm. Hi, nice to have you. I used to be at the top of my game, but now that I'm not, so I'm not able to receive from anyone and want to do it all by myself. All right, darling. So yeah, well, this is oh gosh, we can all fall into this, and it's quite masculine energy to feel like we have to do it all and be it all. And it's really not allowing the co-creation energy to support you in having what you desire. Yeah. So I love that you pointed this out, because remember, awareness is the first step to change. You really outing yourself like that and saying that I want to do it all by myself is a really fantastic first step. It's very vulnerable, because what it's inviting you to do is to question, just explore with curiosity. Remember, with curiosity, with self-compassion, no judgment, just explore. What is it about maybe relying on somebody else or asking for help? What is it about co-creating with the universe or with other people that feels, I don't know, what does that feel like for you? What does it feel like for you to do that? Does it feel greedy? Does it feel selfish? Does it feel, what does it feel for you? Really identify that. That's the first step for you, because yeah, that needs to be healed, because quite frankly, we are not meant to do any part of life alone. Sure, knowing and loving yourself it's an inside job, and only you can do that. Only you can clean up the belief systems. Only you can express your emotions so that you have emotional mastery. That only you can do the work. Only you can journal in your journal. Only you can have the conversation with your coach. Only you can do that work, of course. But again, you don't have to feel alone with it. And if any element of that feels hard, then you enlist support. You get the therapist. You talk to a friend. You hire the coach, right? So you don't have to do it on your own. And I would invite you to choose a new belief, that it's safe to receive, that I'm worthy of receiving, right? Whatever the belief needs to be, and practice that affirmation. Really practice it. Rewire that beautiful mind of yours. Rewire it so that you are enjoying self-loving thoughts rather than thoughts that are sabotaging and hurting you. Stop being so mean to yourself. It's a rod for your own back, isn't it? When you think you've got to do everything by yourself. Like, it's a belief that is not serving you. So you've got to change up. I got to do everything by myself to, I love to get support. I love to not get, actually, Control Alt Delete that. I love to receive support. I love it. I love to co-create. I love that I'm supported in the universe, right? It feels so much better. What other homework or home play do I want to share with you guys? Yeah, I guess, well, I would love for you to do some decluttering. Like I was saying before, decluttering your physical environment is so important to receiving in your desires. I also would love to invite you to up your self-care. So you're taking care of your physical self. And yeah, clear out the beliefs that aren't serving you. Allow yourself to feel your feelings. Well, remember that emotions that we're not feeling are blocking our energy. And when we release our emotions, we release something. Oh, it's so powerful when we really express and release our emotions. That's why Friday's Facebook Live was actually really powerful for me. And I was so glad to be witnessed by you guys. Like, I really released some emotion that day. And what that did, it cleared out this clutter that was blocking me to receiving what I desire. I clear it out. And as you clear it out emotionally, whether it's crying or screaming or wailing or whatever it is, bashing, you know, getting really cross, as you clear it out, something within you is expanding. Your energy expands, your creativity expands. You're able to, there's more space energetically within you to receive in what you want. When you've got emotions blocked and stagnant and horrid, when that's there, they're taking up room. It's actually taking up energetic space, and you need that space, because I'm pretty sure your desires are so awesome and amazing. They're going to take up some space. You need to create the space for them. You need to create the physical space around you for them to come in. So hence the decluttering, right? You need to clear out your mind, clear it out, create beautiful space to invite in the new belief systems. We get what we think about. Right? But a really key underpinning piece here is choosing to be able to receive, choosing to be available to receive, getting okay with that. If you're not okay with that, then it's time to get okay with that. And really be conscious on all 4 levels: emotional, mental, physical, spiritual. What is going on for me in 1, 2, or all of those areas that I need to do some work on, so that I am an energetic, clean and clear vessel. Got it? It's really powerful, and quite, yeah, you know, we're not going to get what we want if we don't learn how to receive, and if we don't get okay with receiving. So I hope that today's lesson was helpful for you. I'm so glad that I could be here for you today, albeit a few hours later than we usually do the call. And if you have any questions or comments, then you can leave them below this video after we've ended. I will have the replay there in the Self-Love Hub, and I will be sure to respond to you. Okay, so yeah, something might come up for you after listening to this, so just write in the question and I will get back to you. I love you guys loads. And one little note just to say, some of you might have been getting my emails twice if you're in my mailing list. And if you're not, you want to jump on, because there's loads of really cool stuff that I send out. But if you've been getting my emails twice, I'm sorry. I had an email from someone saying, well, why am I getting your emails twice? I don't really understand what's going on. We're doing some tweaking because of this new GDPR rule, and I really just need to get on the phone to my my mailing supplier and get a few things sorted. So please bear with me. Please bear with me. I know it's frustrating to get an email twice, and it will get fixed, I promise. But please just give me a bit of lenience on that, and we'll sort it out. Anyway, I love you. I love you. I love you. If you want personal support, you know where I am. You do not have to do life alone. You do not have to do this transformational work alone. And in fact, the expertise of the coach is to speed up the process and to show you what you can't see for yourself. Because if you could see it, you'd have done something about it. Right? So I'm here for you, and I love you, and I will see you again next week. I hope today was helpful. See you later. Bye.